You go first, Frank.
Yes, so we are live. Yeah,
Well,
this is the Teachathon
am
conference,
I going to see like
24
this?
hour, okay, 24-hour online global conference. And I've got some wonderful friends here who are going to be telling us some awesome things. I think either you're watching this live right now or you're going to be watching a recorded version. This is a session you must never play or joke with because the transformation that's going on right now needs us to rethink the whole system of schooling. And they're going to be talking so much about that right now. So you're welcome, Donna Teuber and Frank Del Medico.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm going to be bringing up your presentation. You can have the floor. Thank you. I'll be backstage.
All right. Well, I am going to introduce anybody who doesn't already know Ms. Donna Teuber. This is Donna, and we have spent quite a bit of time together. We met several years ago at the Lego Serious Play North American meetings, and realized that we had quite a bit of commonality in education and wanting to get people to be curious, and that we were very interested in continuous learning and trying to take what we have and help other people make things better. So Donna is awesome. She not only does Lego Serious Play, she is Google innovator and also very well versed in design thinking, which is pretty exciting to me. I think all of them combined make for superpowers.
Well, thank you, Frank. You're so kind. So I am going to introduce Frank Del Medico, and Frank has been very active with exhibits on the go and On the Go America. And what I love about him is that he travels all over and brings so many exciting problems that can be solved to educators, to cities, and he'll tell you about some of his strategies today. So we did meet at a Lego Serious Play event, and we really connected over the idea that innovation can be unlocked when people use their hands and their brains and their hearts. And Frank is all heart for sure. So we were excited to have this opportunity to share with you today. And we're just going to kind of tag team each other on the slide. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Frank to talk about the topics we'll cover tonight.
Yeah, so we kind of like to take everything and bring it into a couple key topics. And the topics we're going to look at are unstick, right? The unwords, unstick, right? What can we do to leverage the power of a group of people to come together and build something awesome? And we're going to unlearn, right? Every so often, especially in the current times, we need to unlearn some things so we could get to the next step. But we need to learn from the past and grow into the future with our knowledge and our tools. And then we need to unlock. What can we do to reconnect to innovation and all of the great things that we all can share with each other? So those are, we really like the unwords quite a bit.
So we'll get started with getting unstuck and talking about some tools and resources that we have pulled together to leverage the power of community and community building in schools, because that's the first step to bring your community together. And I forgot to mention, Frank and I, because of these unprecedented times, have spent a lot of time talking about how things can change now and how we need to take advantage of this opportunity to bring people together. And so this is for Frank.
Yeah. So becoming unstuck. So our big question that we're going to kind of explore today throughout, and there's going to be different activities throughout the slides, but our big question is how are we going to move forward to bring the best with us and leave behind some of the things that just aren't effective anymore, to leave the outdated teaching and learning methods that we have. And we're going to look at how do we begin to build a better school. That has been our focus for 6 months now, Donna, building a better school, because it's time to do that as a community, right? We know what we like. We've learned things from this and we want to take them forward. It's time to do that together. Is it? Okay, so now we're going to do our first build or a sketch. So this is our chance to be interactive. Everybody has a chance to participate. And it's really one of our major themes, right? Everybody participates. And you're going to see through the process. This process is going to give us permission to think before we give an answer. So I'm going to use some Lego and I might do a sketch. But whatever you have, it could be tinfoil, paper, Post-it notes, Lego bricks. And we're going to build a tower. Okay. And I want you to build a tower with you in it. And I want you to think about, where are you in this current moment? Okay. And then Donna, are we going to share? If you, it would be great.
Yes, so we have a Jamboard built, and I'm not sure if people are able to access it, but I have the tinyurl.com/buildbetterteach, and you can go to that URL and you can upload your sketch or an image if you take a photo of something. So we'll have this link available after the meeting too. I'm not sure if everyone will have the opportunity to do that right now. And you can also just add a Post-it note. So if you're not somewhere where you can access building materials, you can go into our Jamboard and add a sticky note and post something about where you are in this moment, and interpret that in any way that works for you. With this process, we like to be open and have the ability for people to open up and share. And we'll give people some time. You could also post in the chat. So we're happy for you to use whatever you have to share out.
And no rules today. Just do a quick build about what are you feeling, or where are you as an educator right now?
Just grab some paper. We'll post that question. And Frank, I'm super fast tonight because we have this presentation, so I already have a tower.
You are that good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
you want to share?
And as LEGO Serious Play certified facilitators, one thing that we do is bring everyone to the table to have conversations. And so this is a good starter activity that you could use with kids, but you could also use with your own faculty, staff at your school. And this is the tower that I built just right before this session. And I built it because I felt like there's a goal now. I start to see more clearly the goal that's in front of me. And I'm a little bit still wobbly going up, trying to scale walls, doing things that I've never done before. But I feel like for once that I think I see a way to get to the other side. And I've included a ladder so that there's a way for people to get there with me. So that's how I'm feeling right now. I think through this whole time, I've built a lot of towers over the last 6 months, but this is a tower that is coming together for me, Frank.
It is. So I made a quick tower. I really think that over the last several months that I feel like all the time I've had to learn more stuff and to talk to educators all over the world, that I am on a separate tower because I could see so many ideas that I never saw before. And that's an opportunity that has really come up over the last several months for me.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And someone else has posted on the Jamboard, feeling excited but conscious that there is a lot to do. Yes,
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you for posting that. So we'll upload our images and we'll keep that there. We'll also be using another frame in the Jamboard when we close today.
I'm going to take a picture of mine before I take it apart.
So thank you for doing that with us. And now we're going to launch into some other activities that Frank and I have been successful with community building. Just giving, there's a book that I was just reading, Unhurried, just being able to take the time to build community and go slow to go fast later, knowing that these are, difficult times for our students. And so a couple of resources that I wanted to share. One is the Stoke Deck, which is from the Stanford D School. And this is an activity that I use quite a bit, and I have fun trying to think about how to translate this into an online environment. You can also print out their card deck, but I like to click Give Me a Stoke. For this one, it's about convergence, helping people to come together to make decisions. So it's a warm-up activity. So you can click through the Stoke Deck and see if there's something there that might help you to connect more with your students. But it's really fun to think about how you can take rock, paper, scissors and do that in a virtual environment. But it does more than just a warm-up. It really is community building. So that's one activity I wanted to share. And then I'm going to share this resource and let Frank talk about the 6 brick ideas that come from the Lego Foundation.
Yeah. So, we had someone else shared a post about the last thing, and it was, I have 3D glasses, which I thought was kind of interesting because we do see things. We've been given an opportunity to see things from a different perspective. So 6 bricks is this really wonderful tool. It allows us to build with and learn pretty much any topic. And we use the 2x4 brick, okay, the standard Lego brick. When I work in big groups, I use the Duplo, the bigger, the early childhood bricks. They're just easier to deal with, and especially with older people. I've had blind people build with 6 bricks. But some of one of my favorite activities with 6 bricks is to see if we build bridges individually and then as a group, like 2 people, 4 people, 8 people. We just keep until we get a whole room building one big bridge. But the tests we do always are can you get your finger under the bridge? I made just a little bridge because I didn't have time, but under. Can you push on the bridge, and can you pull? And once you pass those 3 tests, you get to go to the next group of doubling your group and try and make another bridge that's bigger. The other one that kids and adults really like to do is to see how many bricks can we hang off the edge of our desk or a table. And those are more like math and problem identification and problem solving skills, but you could do it with social studies, language arts, but there is an app that you could get. I believe it's Android and iOS, but there are hundreds of 6 bricks ideas. 6 bricks, 6 different colors, and you could do hundreds of activities, and it's an inexpensive tool for you to use. It's pretty awesome.
It's great. It's one of our favorites. And also some other things that we've been trying are the mood meter, checking in. How are people doing? How are students doing? So thinking about how you could perhaps use a digital tool because you may not be with your students to create a Jamboard, as you see another Jamboard here, where people could upload images of how they're doing. And it's a good way to check in with your students. It's a good way to check in with your staff, and to start some conversation around, what do we need to support each other? So building empathy for each other there.
And somebody just shared that about community building, and relationships come first, and they do, right? And I think all of the activities that we're sharing really focus on creating a super safe environment to be able to create and to share and to eventually learn how to ask a question about what someone else has created. So unlearn. So we talked about that a little earlier, right? We need to learn from the past. We need to seek new perspectives, new ideas constantly. And again, this opportunity with a 24-hour conference, man, so many ideas are being exchanged and shared, and so many new connections are made with people that we don't even know. So what's the next slide?
So in chat, we have an activity for you to think about empathizing with others, to just think. You may not have time to put the entire story, but we want you just to take a moment to think about an impactful story of a student or a teacher from this time of remote learning. Just take a minute and think about that. And then Frank and I may each share a story.
So I have one currently. I have had an opportunity to every day, 5 days a week, I get to work with a young man who's a special needs student, and he also had a heart transplant. So he is not capable of going to school right now, right? He is high risk. So we are using bricks and dry erase boards to do social studies and social emotional learning every day for an hour a day. And it is amazing to see someone really blossoming. I mean, it just, in a week, it took him a week and a half. He now knows what country he lives in, what state he lives in, what town he lives in. And he identified a compass rose on a map. We were studying place, and it's amazing what we could do. And it really has been awesome for me too. It's just one of the most respectful teaching relationships I've ever had. We thank each other every day, and he ends every. I start every day by saying Happy Monday or Happy Tuesday, and Gil ends every day by saying Have a good sleep. So we're really connecting really great together.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. And I've been working with a lot of educators over the last several months remotely. And I think, my story is more a story of a collective story of teachers who have just blown me away with their ability to adapt and to juggle. I call it juggling so many different things at once. To meet the needs of their students. And there are a few teachers that come to mind who have just, shared out their heart. And that is one thing that I just love to continue to just say thank you to teachers and educators who are out there every day working to support our students and get them through this time and help them to become more empathetic. So use chat, think about some ways that you've been impacted by these students and educators. And we'll go ahead and move to the next slide. We have more ideas. Frank, do you want to introduce our Graffiti Wall? Yeah,
so Graffiti Wall is awesome, right? Because it could be just a posed question, right? So that was from one that we did, and it was just a chance. I think that one was just a get to know you kind of session, right? And you could draw, and it's a nice way to get a quick something out, kind of a start of the day, maybe a part of your, like your morning meeting, or before lunch or after lunch or just before we go home. I love the idea of something quick and interactive, and that we can really, just get to know each other a little bit. I know one of the things I love posting on social media, and you'll see them later, but I love sharing a dinner conversation starter, right? So we actually have something to talk about that might even be timely with what we studied that day.
Yeah, that's great. So think about how you could use tools to connect your students even when they're not able to be in the same place.
Someone posted get personal and get real. Shout outs, right? Oh man, anytime we can acknowledge somebody in the classroom, right? Kids love that. And I think it's really nice when they acknowledge the adults too, right? Or the helper or the aides in the room. I think we're starting to get to a point through social emotional learning that we really are connecting more than ever before.
And celebrate. We wanted to include this idea that many small celebrations are better than just waiting until the end. It's so important to have some rituals and norms that can help your students to celebrate the work that they're achieving.
Then we have check-ins, right? Someone else has mentioned that earlier. I know Donna loves the fist to five, like, how are you doing? You know, and survey tools. I know I do Google Forms quite a bit lately. I really like those a lot. You have Mentimeter there. You know, all super important to do our check-ins. And to surveys are awesome. I love. I was in a pediatrician's office and I saw the Big Hero 6, the faces, and you touched like, how are you feeling? So you could point to which one. If you, I love that. You you know,
Yeah.
question
And so we, this is a demo of Mentimeter, but there are so many polling tools that you can use to check in. So we just wanted to, use that as a reminder that that's something that you can do early and often to get feedback from your students. And then I'm a big fan of transitions, and I do think Frank is also using tools some like tomato timers, Pomo Focus to give students that opportunity to have a break. I am a particular fan of the Pomodoro method, being able to choose short breaks or long breaks, and setting the expectation for how long we'll be on something so that we don't lose energy. That's so important. And then Frank, I believe, has been having some dance parties.
Oh, instant dance party, right? Every so often, we just, especially when we're sitting at the kitchen table or we're sitting at a desk at home, and we just do the instant dance party. We'll just play some music and just everybody gets up and we just dance for a little bit. It's not even long, but the video, that's actually that is my son having his own dance party right there. But it's fun, and the best part is most of us aren't good dancers, so we could laugh and have fun about it and just do it again. And then just stretching out or changing. I've even done it where I've had at camps when I did remote educational camps this summer, where I would have kids switch locations just to move their camera, just go somewhere else and so sit on the floor, go it doesn't matter, but just changing and stretching is good. We need to be active.
Yeah, that's great. And we've already had you in Jamboard, but we have so many different collaboration activities. It's very important to plan out collaboration. It doesn't just happen. So getting some improv activities might be helpful. Sharing collaborative docs like Jamboard. I use it quite a bit when we're starting to discuss topics so that people can list out hopes and maybe fears or worries. This could be a very good activity for the beginning of the school year to help your students see, what are we worried about? What are the actions that we need to take to get beyond those worries? Mm-hmm. And then we also like to do some things together. Yes, Let's is one of the improv activities that I enjoy in person, but it works really well in a digital environment. And I could say, Frank, yes, let's go to the beach today. And then Frank and I can each decide what going to the beach looks like for us. We can act it out. And then Frank might take over and say, yes, Donna, let's do something else. So that's an example of just how we like to do some collaboration when we have remote calls, as well as using a Jamboard to create some really amazing types of activities. And so you can see I use Jamboard quite a bit for lots of different organizers and having people share out their learning. So think about ways that you can use tools like that to choreograph that collaboration that we want from our students. And then I'm going to go on to the last section, which is unlocking, reconnecting to innovation. It's so important for us to be able to reconnect our students and the other educators in our school to innovation. So I'm going to go into the next slide. Frank disappeared, so I'm not sure. Here. Oh, there you are. I see you. Okay, Frank, I didn't see you anymore. So I'm glad you're there. So Frank, I think we'll let you share out this last build. So
we're going to, whatever, it's a drawing, a build, even if you need to, a sentence or two, but just some way to be creative. And what I want you to all think about is, in your school, what can you do now that you could never do before? There are great things. There's some things we don't necessarily love, but what can we do right now that we have never, ever been able to do or even think about doing that we can do as educators right now?
And again, you can use chat for this,
Gonna make my quick build from the other day with Gil.
And I think I'll go first while I think Frank is building away, but we like to always have the opportunity to build if you want to, and thinking about giving your students some supplies so that they can do these kinds of builds even remotely or at their desk, even if they're socially distanced from each other. But for me, I think in schools, the things that maybe we could do, but we weren't trying to do, were the global connections. And I do feel that because we are all in separate locations now, it's been so much easier for people to see that there are people around the world that we can connect with. So if I were going to build, I think it would be a build around the connecting people from around the globe. And we could do that before, but we didn't think about it. And Frank, I'll pass it on to you.
And the connecting is daily now. So this is kind of how my last 6 months has gone with camps and tutoring and teaching. And it's me and a student, and we're sitting at our computers, but we're also connected, right? I always do something to connect at the beginning. And I really think that this online learning has made some kids have blossomed through it, right? It comes up almost every workshop Donna and I have done this year, where kids are blossoming because they might be shy or they not overly competitive to get the attention of the teacher to share an idea. But online, on video, you kind of feel like it's you and the educator. And we really have a chance to connect. And that's, I've really enjoyed that. And being able to explore wherever you need to, because the internet allows us to. I did a field trip to the Statue of Liberty today. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So the walls are down. That's great. So thinking about that, just continue to think about how you can use questions like this also to spur your students on to think bigger about the opportunities in front of them. And this is also a passion, I think, that Frank and I both have around social emotional learning and engaging your students with whatever it takes to peel back the fruit and to get to the heart of problems. And I'll share a resource, and then I think Frank also has a resource to share around this. It's so important right now. Harvard's Project Zero, the Thinking Routine Toolbox, is a core set of routines that you can use with your students. And you can also use this with other educators if you're together working on how can we create something better at professional development at our school. Perhaps we could connect, extend, and then challenge. So thinking about the different types of organizers that you can access and download. So we like to integrate these into our online meetings so that people have the opportunity to really dig deeper into topics. And those are also organizers that we often put into Jamboard or other digital tools for students to collaborate. And Frank can share about Sanford.
So Sanford Harmony is a resource that if you have the way to get your school to consider a social emotional learning program, I know in the States, I don't know about globally, but online, free training, free resources. I know before COVID, they would send a trainer to your school and provide you hard materials, books, question cards, songs, recordings, everything you need for social emotional learning program K through 8. And then there's also a program of resources for high school, and it's amazing and it's free. The other one that I've really been using, and it's not on the deck, I just really the last couple of weeks I've been using it, is Every Monday Matters. They pick a theme every week. There's a Monday's your introductory day, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there's like a little 10-minute project, questions, activities, and every Monday has a beautiful video. And today I did with my students, we opened up, we're doing mindfulness this week. And it's been really just amazing. And Sanford Harmony is just, if you are ever short a prompt idea, they have them. And then Donna, I don't remember, they have an app too, right?
Yes, they do have an app.
Yeah, and it's iOS and Android, and all the prompts are all there. You don't even need the card deck anymore, which is amazing. And all their stories and stuff, they're right on your phone now.
That's great. Thank you. And then we're digging a little deeper now around unlocking innovation, thinking about how we can help our students to become better problem solvers. And it starts with giving them some imagination games, letting them begin to think about how, as a young entrepreneur, they can build a better car or a snowmobile. But we play a number of games with improv as well as with building, but helping students to, and there are card decks and lots of resources, but helping students to see past what is to what is possible. And giving them those opportunities. And one of the activities that I love is Frank's Take Something Apart.
And it could be anything, right? I mean, certain things don't take apart microwaves. But an old tower computer, so many cool things inside. Alarm clocks, the old hammer alarm clock has a bazillion parts in it that are just fun to see what they all are. My son just took apart. We have vacuums. Anything we never throw things out. We are always trying to figure out what makes it work and what can we make out of it, and then we throw it out. But taking stuff apart is just a great way to learn how things work. It's the start of reverse engineering. It's something you could do without having a technical drawing background, right? It's awesome. It's so much fun.
And also the idea of having a mystery guest. So this is a perfect time to invite someone who is a mystery guest to join your virtual meeting, and perhaps your students could guess based on some clues what that person does for a living. And then they're curious and they want to learn more. So helping our students to connect with authentic experiences is so important. And then we also love, we already said break stuff, but make stuff, giving your students the opportunity to come up with new ideas after they've empathized with the needs, after they've identified some problems that they want to solve, and especially problems that might be related to their school right now. So it could be, how do we deal with the drop off in the morning? Because I've noticed in my neighborhood that there are a lot of bus changes right now, a lot of schedule changes. So letting kids get in on it to help come up with some new ideas and brainstorm solutions. And we can do this with digital tools. We can do the brainstorming digitally. Let students pitch ideas. And then with very limited supplies, if they only have some recycled materials at home or some paper, what can they have? What can you throw into a paper bag, a lunch bag, so that students will have some tools for building and prototyping? And then giving each other feedback, which is also so important to the design cycle of having students get critiques from others and learn how to receive feedback and to give feedback. I included in the deck my favorite list of Sanford D School materials, just because it doesn't take a lot of money or a lot of resources right now, but we can provide our students with these skills that will help them to go out and get jobs and work at amazing companies like Google.
Very much.
I'll do this one, and Frank has a slide on storytelling too, but we also wanted to share out some other resources that you might want to share with your students to help build this community at your school and get students thinking about how they can take on new challenges. And the Hope Where Are You challenge is so important. This is a resource that has been put out by a number of different collaborations. This is a book that's a free download. So it's in over 30 languages. So it's definitely for a global community. And it's stories from kids who of different ages who have been through the pandemic. And so this is a great way for your students to connect. I really appreciate the education resources here that connect with the characters from the book. And you'll know that there's just such diversity in experiences and how students have been dealing with the situation. So we've found some really good resources on their website that can inspire you and your students. And then we also thought about Flipgrid. I mean, it's a great way to have story starters. And Frank's going to tell you more about the stories that he uses story starters a lot. So Frank.
I just heard about Flipgrid today. I was listening to a podcast, and on Flipgrid, there is an educator community now where people are sharing things that they're doing on Flipgrid with their kids, and it's so much fun. There's so much we could do on Flipgrid. So that's kind of neat to know that it's getting bigger. So I developed a program. I would travel before all the craziness. I would go to independent bookstores and children's museums and libraries all over. And it's called Books and Bricks. And the goal of the program, it is to get to go from just reading a book and looking at the illustrations to really making it the young reader's book. So what we do is I read a book, and then we start to pose some questions like, what character did you want to meet that there wasn't in the book? What character should have been in the book? Or where should they have gone in the book? Or what should they have explored or done? But there's so many questions we could ask. The book there, that's If I Built a Car by Chris Van Dusen. He also illustrates them. And that's my car. Like if I had to build a crazy car. But they're wonderful books for young readers. And the imagination is crazy. It just goes to such unbelievable places. But it's all drawn out. Like it went through his head. His mind thought of all these fun things. He has If I Built a School, If I Built a House, If I Built a Car. And they're all really great books to really expand our thinking and our interest in reading.
It's great. Thank you. We love our stories, and getting your students to tell stories and engage with stories is so important, as well as conversation starters.
So these are the posts that I've been making during the COVID time. And then also I just started again. I didn't do them much in the summer, but every day I'm trying to post a dinner conversation starter so that we have something to talk about at the dinner table. And then I also have been posting a quote that has something to do with the conversation starter for grownups, so that we kind of keep it all tied in. But I think that it's just really important that we communicate and that we get beyond the normal things that, like the weather and how was school and, the bus or whatever. But we really, I think everybody in your house is 100% capable of really contributing to the dinner conversation.
That's great. Thank you. Yes, continuing that conversation beyond just our central circle, but connecting with others. And then we wanted to this is our slide of all things, thinking about other things that you could do, interdisciplinary projects with students. This is a perfect time for your students to be working on projects because they do have perhaps more time when they're at home. So we thought up a lot of really great activities. Digital escape rooms, of course, are something that you can find a lot of resources on. And then Frank's got some really cool ideas for in your backyard.
So, so many fun things. One of my favorite things in the backyard is to just take a 1 foot by 1 foot area and grab a shovel or a spoon or whatever, and just, what can you discover? Like, what's on top? Is there bug? What kind of plant life do you have? What do the roots look like? What are the different types of soil and rocks that we find? But, we have to put it all back. But you don't need a big space to really get into exploring in the backyard. Plant identification, right? I love worksheets. I create worksheets all the time, and I love kids labeling things and coloring. But it's so great to actually have a real leaf and look at it, and then go to the diagram and color and label things and really know what's happening with that. And then Donna turned me on to iNaturalist, and my son loves iNaturalist. And we have just explored Google Experiments a little bit, and they look super fun also.
And those are some tools that you can research and find out more, but Google Experiments has a lot of fun things that I've enjoyed experimenting with. I'll go ahead and click on that just to show you that there are so many things here, the Art and Culture Center, and then AI experiments, Heartbeat of the Earth, digital well-being are some of the really nice experiments that I like to check into also. So that's another place for you to go to get some ideas to engage your students. And then we are, I guess we're closing it right about the time so that we can still have some Q&A, but we wanted to give you a chance to think about all that we've discussed, really, the need to help us get unstuck from the way we've been doing things, to unlearn all of the things that we knew before, and to start seeing things from different perspectives and connecting with with each other, collaborating, and then thinking of innovation. How can we launch our students as problem solvers and problem finders to go out there and build a better school for us? So we wanted you to think about how can you use this knowledge of the time that we've been through to move forward in 2020 and beyond, thinking about the things that we can do now that perhaps we didn't really think about before, and those stories of students and educators who have impacted us. So we do have a frame on the Jamboard on the second frame. So if you wanted to build or to post a note, or to just think about, use the chat to think about how you want to move forward. And I'll pass this over to Frank to close us out with this.
So I know just from the workshops we've done on the Build a Better School and what we have seen and heard from people is every educator that we have spoken with has had some amazing event, some story, some breakthrough that has happened because of our current situation. The shy student who is now engaging with their teacher, even at the college level, we've heard, right? Same stories from elementary school to university level. And And I think it's amazing. And this is really our time as educators to really decide to make the change, to really modify what we're doing and create the new normal. It's our opportunity, right? We don't have to sit there and wait for someone else to create it for us. We have had to get very innovative, very creative, and adapt on the fly. We are identifying problems. We are solving problems in real time right now. And we're sharing that information with each other. So my goal over the next year or so is for us to keep sharing ideas, to keep lines of communication open, be willing to try new things, and be willing to share both the failures and the successes, because that's how we can all grow together.
That's well said, Frank. Thank you. And we wanted to just say thank you and leave some room and opportunity for any questions or comments as you think about the year ahead and the school year ahead. And I know many of you have already started, you're in different parts of the globe, but wherever you are and wherever you are in that journey, thinking about bringing connection to our students right now. And maybe some hands-on processes. I hope that you've seen that we're both building, and of course I've got my duck, Frank. So we are constantly building to think. Some of the thought processes behind this method are that hand-brain connection, and I'll let Frank tell you about that in a second. It's also this idea that everyone gets to share, 100% participation, always having an opportunity for everyone to share. Not just having a very select few people share, which is why we love to use chat and when we're digital and have images and places for people to post. But I'll turn it over to Frank because I think he could also share about the hand-brain connection.
Yeah, so much. Before I was trying to work in classroom settings, I was worked in sports for quite a while. I coached 5 sports at the collegiate level. And one of the things I learned early on was that there's this connection with the front third of the foot and the brain, like an instant pathway. And then I went to graduate school and I started studying, educational psychology and how we learn. And then we hear about all this research being done on tacit knowledge, right? And how everything we've smelt, tasted, felt, seen, experienced in our lifetime, it's all in our brain. But we're pretty sloppy filers. We don't necessarily have a system of filing. And that same connection that I learned about years ago in the front third of the foot for us to control body movement, the fingertips have the most neural connections. And by manipulating or drawing or crafting things with our fingertips, that the thought is that we can really start to develop much more robust answers because we're triggering all these firings in our mind while we're utilizing our fingertips. And we sometimes might even surprise ourselves. Whoa, I just said that and it just came out. But we have to remember, it's not just the things you knowingly put in your mind, but everything you see, everything you smell, everything you taste, everything you experience every day is not just leaving. It stays. It's all in there. And the more experiences that we have, the more information we have to draw upon so that we can actually identify and solve problems. And that's really the key. I had an English writing professor in college my junior year. The best thing I ever heard in college was that my job is not to prepare you for your first job. My job is to teach you how to identify and solve problems. And it was like someone handed me the keys to the kingdom of learning. Right there, it was all done. Identify and solve problems. And from that point on, I'm always thinking about I'm identifying and solving problems. She made it much more simple for me to be able to investigate and conquer what's in front of me. And we could all do it. So I think that anything did I leave anything out on the fingertip connection?
I think that's great. Just bringing up this idea that we're all building together, and as we build with our hands and think with our heads, that we can't forget the heart too, which was really just empathizing with each other and taking this time to slow down. Don't move too fast, because this is a time for us to really process what's happening and think about how to move forward. So. It's a wrap for us. We have our duck selves ready to go, and we would be happy to answer any questions if they're in the chat. But I know you have another session starting up soon.
Yeah. That's a beautiful one.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I've been having a couple of questions to start to ask, and um, yeah, I'm going to start from the and mind connection
Yes.
and the relationship to um, getting students to be online. So, what are the practical things that you could talk about that the teacher could do if the students are to be getting their learning and the instructions from the computer? What are the things that the teacher could do to make them to still uh, do something with their hands and kind of like whatever it is, so that they still get engaged with the hand brain
Yeah.
technique?
So the young man I'm working with on social studies, and we're doing the social emotional learning. We build our answers. The other thing, the dry erase board has been like magic, right? Something we took for granted is, and then, dry erase pens and the eraser, I keep them right with me. And this helps a lot. And then I also try, I think you have to be willing to stop where you are, because the natural questions come up. Like on the field trip today that we made, we went to the National Park website and went to the Statue of Liberty. And you could actually go in the Statue of Liberty, the outside, you could click on things. And there were moments where I knew we needed to let the student ask a question. Right? There were just things, or can you go back there? Well, yeah, we could go back there, So I think besides, I think to help the hand-mind connection blossom, you have to give the freedom to have some time to process. You can't ask a question and expect an answer. That's unfair to everybody, right? Because then the students are really not listening to the question. They're formulating an answer to get you to go ask someone else a question. But if we create an environment where it's permissible and accepted to think, and that, yes, we can process for a few moments, then I think you could build and you could draw and you could create, and they have things at home, and I don't really care what they use. I don't think Donna minds, right? Really, whatever. I don't, you could stack blocks or pour flour on a table and run your finger through it. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, and I think talking about interdisciplinary measures, I think that's what we should see starting to come into play right now. That educators collaborating to take a different look at their curriculum and how they could actually, where they intersect, and really making use of that opportunity to get some new things into the system. So what would you talk about in that respect, Jonah?
The sound was cutting out a little bit, but
Okay, I was talking about interdisciplinary
right. So I think,
models.
yeah, I think for me, this is a good opportunity for teachers to collaborate across content areas and to, I also say work smarter, not harder. When you
Mm,
can have an interdisciplinary project and you can cover a lot of standards and you can make it authentic. So I think problem-based learning and project-based learning are so important. And based on the grade level of the student, you can modify it. It could be a passion project. It could be 1 hour a week for students to work on something that they're passionate about. Or it could be an entrepreneurship project where students are working on a team to solve, as I mentioned, one of those school problems. But the key is to just bring teachers together and think about, how do we want our students to view the world and what types of connections can we make together? Because the world is not divided up into science and math and English and social studies. But it's been very easy for us to go down that pathway with our traditional systems. But now those systems are gone right now. It's a good chance to rebuild.
For sure. Yeah,
wow. Okay, go ahead, Frank.
no, I just think, it's really been our message, and every so often we do these little build a better school workshops online. I mean, it's been amazing to hear, and we really have. I think we've had librarians and elementary school and university professors from all over the world, and the stories are similar. We really are. We are connected as a community of educators, and the stories. No, it was funny. It just really amazes me that we heard the same stories from different age groups of educators. You would think like, oh, the college professor has nothing in common with the kindergarten teacher, and they totally do, right? The experience is different in level, but the same stories were coming out. Just the characters and the experience levels were different. And I invite any of you. I mean, I just really, I hope we can meet some more people and just share the idea, because we do have the ability to make it do what we want and make education better, or we can just go back to school when we all go back to school like normal, and it's going to be the same. And because we like the same, right? I mean, sitting in a comfy chair or digging a hole, they both will get you somewhere, and someone else is going to make the decision if we want to sit in the comfy chair. But if we're willing to dig the hole and lay a foundation, then we can make the decision on where we go.
Yeah, we could make the decision and really bring a transformation. And as Donna said, that the system as we know it to be, we've actually ditched it because there's a new normal that we have right now. And yeah, say for time, I would have actually engaged you in a whole lot of things that you've actually brought up, which are really, really important to bring a transformative process into the learning system anywhere at any level. And all those little bits of things are really, really important. And they tend to kind of like add up to the big whole. And that's it. Thank you very much,
Thank
Donna and
you.
Frank. I really appreciate you doing this. And one interesting thing that's going to happen with this year's session is this. I think um, we should get more educators to have an opportunity of this. I might be getting contacts from some educators here that, oh yeah, that session was nice, and I could be contacting you sometime soon that yeah, you would come and relive this experience in a workshop manner with some educators and with some systems of schools across. So just be prepared. You know, just kind of like come to me that I should tell you that because now it is really really important. Now the little things that you do makes the most difference, and that's the lesson that I've learned from all the basics that you've actually brought up. Now you started with something that whatever you have, and that's the power of creativity. Creativity doesn't look at what it doesn't have; it looks at what it has to produce what it doesn't, and that's it. So that idea is very key in the new spectrum of things and trying to like get kids to be creative. And thank you very much. We've had a really awesome process that you've actually gotten us through. It's really fantastic. Now, so many people will still have to regurgitate on this and think about it, look at how it's going to, oh, yeah, I'm going to align this. Okay, I'm going to try this. Oh, it's like that. And it's really loaded. So thank you once again, Frank and Donna.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you've been talking about building a better school, and you've been giving us the intricacies, the ingredients that we can actually start to think of. And what you all you've talked about, amazingly, they are not things that are expensive. They are, in fact, you're making us to sit back and think about our environment. What do we have around us to really aid and assist learning? And that's really the most powerful thing. You don't think about what you don't have, you think about what you have that will foster things forward. And it's really great. So thank you once again. I'm really excited, yeah, that you have come to do this. Yeah, it's really beautiful. So yeah, I'll still be contacting you, and the conversation has to go on. Yeah, so
Yes,
very
that's
important.
great.
Awesome.
We'd like to build with people. Yes,
Yeah,
thank
exactly.
you.
Yeah. So thank you so much. So before as a round off this session, yeah, we still have someone on the line, Jen Lee, and she has an amazing session. You're going to see it by going to www.titotonnetwork.com/fee. So and we still have Monica Box, who is going to be rounding off, and our session is going to be what we're going to be rounding off this 24-hour series with. It's been a really wonderful time, and like I said, like I told Donna and Frank, their session also brought another totally new perspective to the old discourse we had since for the past 22 hours. So it's only gets better as it goes forward. So thank you so much. So and you join us soon. Then we'll catch up very soon.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you
Get
so
some
much.
food tomorrow.
All right. Bye.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you so much. Yeah.